Welcome everyone to City of Sunbury's Park and Recreation Committee meeting for September 7th, 2022, and it's about 5:30 p.m. How about a call to order, Mr. Piles?
I'll call the order. Mr. Ghost.
Yes. Here.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
3 present. We have a quorum.
That was the roll call. My mistake. Okay, let's go to the approval of the minutes for our last meeting, August 3rd, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Martin
I'll second.
and a second by Ms. Cooper. Any further discussion? Okay, Daryl, go ahead.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes,
3 yeas.
very good. Let's go to unfinished business. And the first item we wanted to talk about was the master plan, strategic plan discussion. Primarily J.R. Smith Park is on our agenda and on our minds first and foremost. And I believe Mr. Hall has an update and a plan that he's given us in his packet. You want to go ahead?
Sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
If you turn to the last page in the packet, there's a conceptual plan there. We can go over that. So what we did was we took a first cut at what we prioritized as the A list from a prior meeting, and we've indicated that on a conceptual plan. Just to go over what those amenities are, includes a 70-car parking lot directly off of East Cherry, more condensed towards the eastern part of the site instead of going along the northern edge like the current parking lot. Includes a playground, restroom buildings, splash pad and fencing, a 20 by 40 picnic pavilion, a bike repair station, and then a bike path that traverses through the site. So what I thought would be a first cut is at least to get the A list shown on here. And then what we had, I believe, on the B list was basketball court, community garden, and dog park. So
Was basketball court?
I had that marked as B on my notes and then pickleball as C, or do we?
I don't remember talking about basketball
I
court,
think there
but
was.
I would flip those. Wes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just
Yeah.
had my notes and I thought we pushed pickleball to
Yeah,
see,
you
and I
said-
would agree,
Yeah.
Where did we have dog park?
as it be along with community garden.
That could be considered an A too, the dog park, A minus.
I like that.
I would
B
think-
plus,
Yeah.
A minus.
Yeah, next in line. I think it's a good spot for it, presuming we have the room. I can't really tell, looking at the diagram, what kind of room or spacing we have left by looking at this, but
Yeah, there's quite a bit. Definitely a pickleball court would probably fit there just west of the restroom building.
mhm.
Why don't we go over the A amenities first, what's shown on the concept plan? So
Yeah.
just break it down here. Parking lot off of Cherry. Obviously, we did prepare another concept which had a connection up to Granville, just taking another look at that, or I'm sorry, they have it labeled, right? Yeah, it's Morning Street, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It just, didn't feel comfortable with that. One, that sight distance as you come around the curve by Certified.
Yeah, totally agree.
Uncomfortable with that and the slope, et cetera.
As much as I'd like to have one there, it's just, man,
Agreed.
I don't think it's gonna work.
So with the parking lot pushed to the east end there, it kind of creates some more open space from, the western edge of the parking lot over towards Morning Street. Thoughts there on the parking? Does that feel?
That 70 car number for the number of spaces, you think that's appropriate?
I mean, the original master plan had 68. Could go less. I mean, if we went down to 50, that would create some more space.
What's there now, actually, the capacity, you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was just thinking of that.
I think it's gonna feel like it's more than that. It's less than that, maybe around 40.
I don't see, I mean, 70 cars is, that's quite a few.
Mhm.
I don't think there's enough room with the amenities to. But if there's other, it can be overflow parking from a town square event.
Is that 70 based on 9 foot wide?
Probably 9 by
Space.
18s, correct? Yeah.
Okay.
We'd have to
But
get
we're not
that.
apt to have events there that would draw huge crowds at any given time. So
Okay.
I'm thinking 50 parking places. If we had 50, there'd be 20 of them never full at the same time.
Mhm.
You know, there might be 30 cars there. But 70 spaces is a lot unless we were gonna have events there that drew a crowd.
I would tend to agree with you, although we hear all the time about the need for more parking downtown. I don't know if this is close enough to qualify for that.
If we're gonna have a sidewalk up the hill for people to get up to the square, that would
Mhm.
be important too.
Well, one thing we hope to have is a connection to the Ohio to Erie Trail coming in there. You know, on that backside at some
Yeah,
point.
you could end up with a little bit of trailhead parking there for the Ohio to Erie potentially too, is
Yeah.
I think another thought.
And could we designate an area for bicycle parking? Because if people are coming through on that trail, there are gonna be a lot of bicycles.
I think we're gonna need some kind of heavy duty bike, what do you call them? Racks, right? At least in that spot where the repair station's designated.
Right. So some bike racks to, well, if they lock their bike up there, then they could walk to town square.
Mhm.
Most of the time, they're gonna try to, park their bike on town square and be right there. But
Yeah,
one, a bike rack or two there would, I think is a good idea. So I'm gonna note on the parking lot, 50 question mark
yeah, I think so.
racks. Okay.
Mhm, mhm. What's this structure here, Wes? This one.
Oh, that's the,
Oh, that's the best.
that's it.
Is that the current court?
Yeah, that's the current court.
So we could use that space in some way, right?
Yes.
What were you pointing at when you asked?
Steve, can you pull
Right.
it up on here?
Yeah, this would be the
It's on the shared drive.
Okay.
northeast corner here, where the current basketball court is. There's a space there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's just the current. Looks like there's 2 pads there right now.
It just looks like a building, but it's just a flat pad.
Mhm. Yeah, we need to do something with that.
Yeah.
That corner right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that's a good spot to move some parking spaces or.
Potentially, yeah.
Or maybe that's the garden we're talking about.
And it is right next to the Ohio Erie Trail.
Butts right up against it, so we need to think about what we'd want there. I mean, it doesn't butt up directly to it, but I think the Ohio Area Trail is going to be coming in behind this building here. I think it's here, isn't it, Wes?
Yeah.
It's correct.
So
It's,
there
it's
is-
up on top of the bank.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's quite a bit of space there.
So we'll look at that corner and I guess the community garden potentially, additional parking.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, could you do a light refresh of the pavement on those existing courts and be able to convert them to pickleball without
Yeah.
too much expense?
Mm-hmm. Have to look at the dimensions of that,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Mhm.
If there's a way to,
see if we could save some dollars there and convert it, right?
we might have to slide the parking over slightly, which you could. But that's, yeah, if there's a base there.
That's a
Pickleball courts have chain link fences around them, or are they just, can they be wide open?
I think they're fenced.
Yeah, there's a,
Because the ball's gonna be.
right, but it doesn't need to be the size of tennis net.
Oh,
I mean, the
okay.
size of tennis fence.
they're light, if I'm not mistaken.
They're not 10 or 12 feet high then.
They're
No,
3-4 feet.
Okay.
the ball doesn't bounce much at all. It's more like a wiffle ball, a light wiffle ball, I think.
Oh, wow. I've never been to a pickleball tournament, so.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get a court, you might get on over there.
Yeah,
And that's a regulation size 100-yard football field, isn't it?
actually, I think it was more like an 80-yard football field. I don't think it was a 400 yards, was it? Maybe oh, you know what? Where the baseball diamond used to be, there was no grass. It was a sand lot infield. But then they planted grass there and expanded the football field. That's right.
That blue line's darn near, well, it's 296 feet, so yeah, another 4 feet, you got 100 yards, so
Mhm.
it's real close.
Okay.
So that's parking lot, talked
Mhm.
about that. Let's talk about the trail,
Mhm.
bike trail. We just position that through the site connecting to Cherry and Morning. As you know, if you go down Cherry Street this way, you would connect to the Ohio to Erie Trail, so that feels good. The connection to Morning, we'd have to work with Certified. There's just kind of a parking lot there. And then to connect to either Granville or as the 37 Hill, as we've called it, is improved, there's potential connection there.
Mhm.
But it felt like to have some kind of pedestrian connection up to Morning.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thought was going on the south side between Certified and the car wash there and obtain some type of easement along that property line to get up to 37 or Morning Street there.
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility. I know the new owner of that car wash. I think he'd be pretty amenable to granting an easement and getting people closer to his business he plans to open there.
Or we could do both and have a branch that goes that way. You know, just another connection for people to get to the park from coming down from the town square direction.
I think it'd be a good idea to make a note to push that path as far into the woods as we can and get it as close to the
Property line.
Ohio to Erie Trail as we can.
Yeah, you can see them slightly, but there's some contours there that start to, so that bank starts to pick
Yeah,
up pretty
That's all
quickly.
bang there, isn't it?
We might have to keep it,
Mhm.
get it towards the toe of that slope.
Yeah.
Want to allow for some drainage coming down that slope to pick up before it hits the trail.
That's right. We don't want to have
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's
flooding problem.
kind of tight. And it's
Although,
just that vegetation, you know, I wouldn't want to clear cut too much there, you know, try to maintain that buffer between there and the,
although I wonder if our property line rests or would include the top of that hill. Cause, then we could put the path right on top. What do you think about that, Wes?
but just on the other side of Sure Signs would be the Ohio to Erie Trail, not too far away from here.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll have to really I think, engineer and think that one through. Where to put it. How close do we want to make it to the Out Erie Trail and still not have any kind of drainage issues, right?
We're thinking just that connection with Cherry Street as you then move down Cherry,
Mhm.
put some sharrows on there as far as bike vehicle sharrow,
Mhm.
and then you connect up to the Ohio to Erie Trail, because there is quite a bit of grade to deal with to try to move that trail further south.
Okay. Yeah, if we can't get it on top, then probably better to keep it away from
That's the thinking there.
the flow.
The other thought was we were just kicking around was trying to put the trail in, so there was a loop around this park, coming, which you could do essentially in front of the Lions building. I mean, it's kind of paved now. And there's pavement coming around.
Mhm.
That-
I like that idea.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great idea. I definitely would want to loop there.
Kind of
I like
repurpose
that
that.
idea.
Not that it's a huge loop. You probably have to walk
Yeah.
around there a few times to get a
There's
mile.
loops
But
around small playgrounds and it's still helpful.
if the kids are on the playground and, the parent wants to.
This way too.
Yeah, I like it.
Loops, they could.
Let's do that, Wes. And then you could bring it around and connect it to the parking lot there, right?
We send in front of the line.
Okay.
I was thinking
Yeah, no.
That's
this way,
good.
So. it's
in
not
front of
behind.
this building.
Yeah,
All right.
So given the loop, do you see a need to put a sidewalk then on Cherry Street or not? Because I think that's what Mr. Martin was
Mhm.
hinting at.
There's nothing there currently, is there?
there's no parking lot, or I mean sidewalk.
Just on the other side, it looks like, right? Of
Right.
Cherry.
Yeah, we could certainly come up to the inside the right of way at Cherry. Are we really between the park and the right of way? That's all
Mhm.
city jurisdiction. So to run that, sidewalk and or multi-use trail down that, which about where that property line is,
Mhm.
try to connect that back to a crosswalk there at the entrance.
I have a couple questions. Where it says open lawn for future amenities and then it's pointing two different directions. It looks like it's pointing to that circle where it also has splash pad and fencing pointing to the same circle.
Mhm. I see that.
Yeah, that's just, they didn't adjust the
Okay,
arrow.
so it's splash pad.
Mhm.
That's the splash pad.
Okay.
That other arrow should be kind of pointing
Just
to
to the
that
other
large
side.
grass
Okay.
area there, just on the
And
west side of
then
the pavilion.
around the playground and splash pad, will there be park benches?
Those types of minor amenities can easily be added.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then I assume with that, you got the email with the trees that are already there and dedicated.
Yes.
With the parking lot moving, it doesn't look like it should be a problem to keep those trees.
I wanted to look.
Yeah. We have that here in the packet.
I saw that
This would be a good sign.
Right behind where the
across from that.
Yeah. that's it.
benches were.
Back in.
Right there, right?
Yeah, where the.
Those are the two trees, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep those in place, Wes.
Right.
Should not be a issue, right?
Try to improve, trying to do something around those so they're,
And maybe we can get them to stand out a little bit better, right?
yeah, put some pavers or something or landscape that make it
Okay.
do something there. Okay.
Something that Mr. J.R. Smith would be happy with, and I think Steve has a story to tell for the record.
Yeah, I guess this is a reasonable time to tell it. So late last week, I pick up my phone and gentleman on the other line goes, "Hey, I didn't know who to hit, so I hit your button and I'm trying to get a number for Dave Martin." And I go, "Okay, well, let me look and I'll see if I can give you one that's, fairly public. I don't want to share something I shouldn't." And he goes, well, maybe you can answer my question. And he goes, I was talking with Warren Owen and he was talking about your looking at the park and what you might be doing to it. And that rumor about we're selling it and things like that. And I go, well, yes, we're in the process of kind of planning that, and there'll be a time for the public to see it and interact with it and tell us what they think. And he goes, okay, well, that's good. That gives me some reassurance. It's not what I'd heard. And he goes, tell Dave Martin that J.R. Smith says hi. And I go, the J.R. Smith? And he goes, that's right. And I go, oh, it's a pleasure to speak with you. And it's really great timing.
Wow.
And, let me assure you, it's still going to be a recreational facility for our community. So.
And he was happy. He was happy with that, which was
Yeah.
one note I had in my notes about the to-do list was at least trying to find out if that gentleman was still alive and
Yeah, I had no
get their
idea.
family's input to make sure they're happy with what we're gonna do.
Yeah, oh, great.
So it sounds like he's pretty flexible. but-
Yeah.
Mm.
And if somebody's watching that knows him, I didn't write that phone number down and I should have, so.
But we're definitely we're not doing anything without major public input and feedback. And we want the public to have as much say as possible. So,
Thank you for sharing.
yeah, it's good to know he is still alive and kicking.
Um,
And we will protect your name if you're listening, Mr. Smith. And keep the park name the same. At least I intend to do that.
So just to keep moving on the amenities, we'll go to splash pad and playground. Just kind of have that roughed out for,
Any
More
idea on the
space, if you will.
dimension of that splash pad at all?
well, it's probably 20, 30 by 20, something
Okay.
in that range, it'd be
I'd like to make
not
it,
a small, but a medium sized pad.
yeah, I want to go medium to medium large. We can
Yeah.
afford it.
40-ish, yeah, I guess.
I see the pavilion says 20 by 40. This pad looks a lot bit, looks like it's twice the size of it.
Yeah, no, you're correct. It's larger than that. I get it.
Okay.
Is
Get
it
my
concrete
reader
or is
down
it that stuff they make tennis courts out of?
It's a soft spongy material, isn't it, Wes?
It is, yeah, it's a spongy
Okay.
type material that you walk on.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's a good size splash pad. And then the playground's a similar size just north of there.
A note for way down the road when we do those park benches, we'll want to make sure and get the kind with the handles. We were told about that from Source Point.
Mm-hmm. The other thing too, took some pictures of a really nice looking splash pad up there in Fredericktown. And brand new. I think I shared them with you, Daryl. And they had, looked like some nice tables, round tables with umbrellas around the pad. And they had the artificial turf, which from a distance looked like real grass. So
They have that, there's a splash park in Delaware at their YMCA. And they have like built in chairs that don't move. And so you can sit and they're sort of lounging and you can and there's tables in between so you can pack like a picnic and have like a water bottle and stuff and then you can lounge.
yeah, we definitely want to keep an open mind on what to put in there. That's for sure. I'd definitely like to see some kind of shade structure, Wes, because that park is, there's no big tree inside that area providing any kind of shade.
Oh, the 20 by 40 picnic pavilions right next to it. So that would be a sitting area.
I've seen some designs that have some kind of canopies.
Yeah, you do those triangular type
Yeah,
piece.
maybe we can plan. It looks like maybe you do have some trees. And save some room for a couple of maybe 3-inch caliper trees. to offer some more shade on that side by the playground area.
So these buildings on the west side, then, Mr. Hall, they are the Lions buildings.
Correct,
Okay.
yes. So just on the splash pad and the playground, just getting my other pair of glasses on, looking at the scale bar, it's probably 60 by 80. Playground similar.
Okay. Each,
Size wise, does that feel,
each of them 60 by 80?
looks roughly?
Yeah, that sounds really significant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about.
How big was the play structure area at J.R. Smith before we took it down? Do you know?
Do not know that, yeah.
Hmm.
But we could.
It was
we could
this
get a
whole
couple-
area that sort of
Yeah,
shaded
kind of
around
ghosted
down
in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
In the
okay,
corner.
right here.
Yeah.
But a lot of the splash pads on, we're doing, 3 of them for one municipal client right now. They come with different things, amenities on the pads, spray things and toys. There's, we can get a lot of those types of examples later as we drill down on each amenity further.
Mhm.
And then the playground would be that sponge material that you see now, that surface.
Mhm.
Again, our landscape architects will drill down on specifications there. There's all kind of play structures now that you can put on those.
Would it be a good idea to put the restroom building adjacent or next to the pavilion? Or is there a reason why you had that separated? Is that for balance or symmetry or?
Probably a little bit of balance. I think they just put it between the splash pad and the playground.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Those can easily be flipped, putting the picnic pavilion over there and the restroom on the other side. If somebody was in the pavilion, they could see both locations easily.
I kind of was thinking that the pavilion might be nice over by the playground,
By the playground.
so you could have a picnic.
Mhm.
And those can be combined too, to where you have a pavilion off the back with a restroom in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be
Yeah,
nice.
maybe we,
Orange Township has a structure like that where there's a restroom and then a pavilion on the back of it.
As you know, a township has one of those at their
Yeah.
park down there too.
Combined
McNamara.
structure.
Yeah.
I think maybe we do that. I think the economies
like
of
that.
scale would probably be a little bit cheaper overall, don't you think?
Okay,
One larger structure instead of a separate.
Okay.
But I like the location of where putting it there where the restroom building is, the center of that. I think that makes sense.
What do we have? And this may have been the area that you were talking about. I didn't quite follow the conversation, but in the northwest corner with those 3 circles where it says the word playground is that just open?
It
And
just
is that on a hill?
It has a leader going into the playground area there. But that lawn area, that's all open lawn.
But it is kind of steep.
It is
up
a
to the street
hill-ish,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you do have some topo lines in there, I see now. Okay.
Will the pavilion have electrical to it so that people can plug in their crock pot and keep
Yeah,
their lunch
sure.
warm?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's typically a amenity, most of the pavilions now. They rent it for birthday parties. I know a lot of the townships and
Yeah.
villages do
Mhm.
that, cities.
I think this is a great start, Wes. I think if we can have for the next meeting, some kind of court and a garden and a dog park idea.
Less parking, maybe.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on next steps?
Pickleball, garden. And maybe bring it down to 50 spaces. See what that looks like.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I that's the intent here. I also wanted to. So we have a bike repair station. Still like that idea and put some bike
Yeah.
racks right by it.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then looping the path, right?
Oh, right. So you're thinking like, so like just around the west side, like not the parking lot, from the parking lot west over, right?
For the loop.
Yeah. Like around the playground to the Lions building down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that we have to think about is vehicle access to the Lions building.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have to either just make that loop path around the north end, northwest end, as we tied, maybe take that off the parking lot as vehicle access to the Lions building, and that would just become a walking area as well, not doing two there, because we do have to maintain some way to get a vehicle over to the Lions building, since
Mhm.
that southern route's gonna be removed now.
Okay.
So we'll
So you're gonna have to, we have to be able to drive from
parking
the
lot,
parking lot to the Lions building.
correct,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that's
Isn't there access off of Morning Street now, or
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is.
you're saying with the path that's?
I guess I was making, it sounded like a statement, but it's kind of a question. So do we want vehicle access from the park side of the Lions building, or do
I
we
think
just-
only maybe an emergency situation, wide enough for the ATV or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe we make the path 10 or 12 foot wide.
Yeah, it could be,
I don't see it. I honestly don't see a need to have a full blown wider road there.
No.
probably the 10-foot multi-use, would have a pavement base to it, so any
What
small.
about fire department and ambulance access though? Back
Yeah.
right to the middle of the park.
I think we'd be okay with the edge of the parking lot and then Morning Street being there. But again, if we do that multi-use trail along that north side, it will provide access. I mean, we can't bring the ladder truck back there, but
Mhm.
But there's nothing they need the ladder truck for back in there.
right,
so.
Right. Just the pavilion and it's really the pavilion's the only structure, so to speak. Okay.
what are the current uses of those buildings right now? Just so I'm clear on.
Steve, you wanna, or Daryl?
Well,
Steve knows better.
The bottom of the first Lions building, the southern one, is right now in its file storage of our zoning documents, and they need organized. The top floor is just about ready to be renovated as a general use meeting space. Community meeting space, community use space. The other building, the basement is currently not being used, but could be like storage of some of the equipment or other items that we're gonna need for this, this new park
Mhm.
or this changed park. And then the upstairs is also the Lions, there's a few folks that have storage in the top. I think they store for the Christmas tree sale. So,
And we got the concession building, right?
yeah, and there is a concession stand in both of them in the bottom. Currently not outfitted, but available if we ever needed or wanted to have concessions out of there.
So the top floor for general community space, do you think we've got enough parking?
Question. Yeah,
Because
I
that
think,
parking lot shares with that apartment building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So it's not a lot.
and I think I don't know if they had used the bottom area as overflow parking or not. So that may be, again, another good reason to have a vehicle access point through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. If we're
If
gonna
you
turn
had
it,
vehicle access to there, you'd also have to have somewhere for them to park then,
yeah,
right?
And I think there's enough room below the building and in front of or behind the building for that to happen.
maybe we do wanna,
Just north of the bike path, you mean? Just kind of.
Yeah, that
small.
kind of that area
So
up in
create,
there.
create some parking there.
Yeah.
might be a good idea if we're gonna turn it into a
Yeah, 'cause it's
some community room. Okay, I had a couple more items on the agenda. Anything, do you have what you need, Wes, to move forward?
Yes,
Do
yes, that's
you-
good input.
Do you all down there have anything else to add?
I feel good about that. Thanks for providing that.
Sure,
Mr.
you're
Hall.
welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to multi-use trails. We want to talk about trying to get the trail to the high school. What can you tell us where we're at there, Wes?
I think we were waiting on the MORPC study to be complete for that, right?
Yeah.
Is where we landed on that. So we haven't really dug in and moved forward until that MORPC plan was rolled out, which should be.
It's done. It needs one more kind of review by me and then
Okay,
we can get it out. And as I recollect, they kind of see an opportunity on Miller Drive to do,
Mhm.
put the roadway on a diet, move it in, and then, bring some bike lanes either with painting or with physical, some dividers. Although the snowplow guys hate those things, so it may have to be a painted bike share lane, but, I know that's in their report as one option. They had concerns about the Route 3, 36, 37 intersection and it being at grade and, they'd actually talked that they thought going along Miller might be a safer route, but, that was just in the draft part of it, so.
okay.
But I can provide that at the next meeting for sure.
Are they still looking at what we originally talked about, bringing it, once we get it across Route 3, that we go over toward behind the fire station?
Yeah, they're concerned about that intersection and how that would work. They have described some improvements, signage improvements and painting improvements that would make it more visible as pedestrian crossing, but, they are concerned about that intersection and how it would intermix with bikes and walkers
Mhm.
and,
Are they looking
How
at,
to do that
are they looking at a
safely.
bridge option by chance?
no. Well, I think they've looked at going part of the way down the highway to the south and maybe bridging. But, then you're into some big bucks.
Okay, well, we can wait for them and
Yeah, I can
next month's report on that,
I'll
right?
definitely bring it to the next meeting.
Okay. How we doing on the final leg of Fallen Heroes, Wes? We still on track to,
Yeah, I actually sent over, I don't know if those made it into the. I got an email, we could pull it up, but we're finishing up phase 3 and 4 and. We're gonna have those staked here at the end of this week or early next week for another walk.
good,
And then be ready to advertise by the end of the month.
okay, sounds like we're still on schedule.
So yeah, that's moving along.
Okay,
John and Brad are doing a nice job on that.
good deal. Okay.
Attachment.
How about Trail Town study update?
I'll get it.
We had the final wrap-up meeting, week and a half ago here, actually hosted it here. Their report is forthcoming. There were some final things that we discussed at that meeting, but, it should be forthcoming from Morpsey, and I'd say probably within a week or two, it'll be out there on the Morpsey website. I should have checked that today. It may actually be getting there, but I didn't see an email. Usually they send me an email saying, okay, it's up, and it's not up yet, but it's very close to being concluded.
Okay, looking forward to that one.
Yep. It will describe the process that a community has to go through to become designated as a trail town. So there'll be some steps at the council level in terms of a resolution, some investment, and they'll also have our local report and some specific advice to us. And I think that's going to be signage and bike racks, among other things,
Excellent.
downtown.
Business owners will like to hear that too. Okay, reservoir, quickly, can you tell us where we are on the reservoir project? Go ahead.
ODNR has signed our grant.
Mhm.
We've got just another couple little tasks to do on the level control issue. And then we'll jump into designing the fishing pier and the other items that are included in that. We're going to explore the idea, when you get into floating docks, it's either to meet ADA, it's a floating dock that's way out in the reservoir, or we've got to create a walkway to traverse the path. Either way, we end up with some pretty long paths. So we are going to study and pursue with ODNR the concept of using the level control structures that are there as a base to construct a fishing pier.
So a more solid foundation.
A more solid foundation,
non-floating.
it's not too far out into the reservoir. It'll be a little bit above the reservoir,
Okay,
but and we'll examine the floating dock idea. We'll examine off the control structure. And then the third option that's out there is to drive pilings into the reservoir and create walkways and an eventual pier. But that concerns me in terms of you have a clay liner in that reservoir, and that's very important to keeping water in the reservoir and having a sound dam. And you want to have both. So I'm not so sure driving pilings into the bottom of the reservoir is a good idea. So
yeah. Anything further to add to that? Mr. Hall, do you want to add anything?
Just that we're ready to start that design in accordance with the grant application and the amenities associated with that. So we're going to meet with Steve and nail down that, and we're ready to get started.
Sounds great. Okay, let's move on. I had written down an item here, the GRE invasive tree discussion. I know we had thought we were gonna, still probably will put that off until spring so we can more readily identify the invasive species when they bloom, but I did get an estimate from the Hardwood Tree Service for $2,500, and that included basically mowing the edges and the inside of the area of the forest, and actually removing all the invasive species and dropping some kind of pesticide or poison on the stubs that remain to kill them. So that sounds reasonable. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I thought I would send the estimate over to Steve. It's within the mayor's authority. It's something we can still put off until spring. Maybe we get one more bid at that time,
Okay.
see if anyone else is interested.
Is that something you do when they're in growing mode, or is it better to do it in the fall when they're slowing down? I don't know the answer to that.
Good question. I think we talked about that the last time.
The answer.
The reason we wanted to delay it was because of
It's,
identification.
yeah, it's
purposes.
very clear in the spring, especially those
Okay.
Calvary or Kellery pears.
Right.
You know, they're pretty obvious in the spring with the blooming, you know, I can pose that question to Aaron about, is there an ideal time or a no-go time for
I'll ask
treating?
Mr. Hardwick too.
Yeah, that's-
serious. Okay, I'll ask for some clarification on that as well. Okay. Any other unfinished business? Anyone? Okay, I do not have anything under new business. Anyone down there? Ms. Cooper, Mr. Mark?
No.
Okay, how about Source Point programming update from Mr. Hennessy?
All right, so we've set the date for the first Source Point co-sponsored programming. It's actually October 17th, not the 15th. The 15th is a Saturday, so October 17th, 2022, 1 p.m. We are going to do a kind of this. We talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, but I've subsequently met with the Source Point staff. They're proposing that we do mostly a social event. They'll introduce them to a couple of their programming options during this social period. Again, one of the barriers to participation, people said, is that they didn't know other people, may not know other people. So that's the reason to kind of make that first one a bit more social. So we'll do the kickoff on October 17th. Source Point then has committed to coming back in November and December. I think that third Monday in each of those months to kind of continue whatever programming is introduced at the kickoff. And then beginning in January of next year, they'll begin to then shift the programming to some other type of program. They're not necessarily sure what they're going to recommend at that point. And then it may shift to not a monthly activity, but it may get to a bi-monthly or quarterly activity at that point. So that's the plan for getting that started.
Do you
I'll
have,
be here at the town hall.
Yes, first floor town hall.
what's your plan to publicize that?
So they're gonna prepare the announcement. They're going to push it out to their clients who have a Sunbury address. We will post it on our Facebook page. We'll also try to post to some of the other community pages. And they said they would also send a letter out, I think, to the 55 that they've got a group of people, I think, that have just turned 55 or more, birthdays.
I may get that letter.
Well, I was gonna say, it's not everybody who's over the age
2
of
weeks
55.
before that, I'll be,
Well, there you go. You just might receive that then. Which is what they did to promote the community enhancement meeting. They sent out a letter to that subset as well. So they're gonna do that again for us. Yeah. So,
All right. Sounds great.
Thank you.
mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Hennessy. Okay, that's all I have. Anything further down at that end of the table?
Good meeting.
I'll make a motion for adjournment,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Cooper. Go ahead, Mr. Hennessy.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
3 ayes. We are adjourned.
Thank you very much.